The 20, lots of room at the 30. Headed to the near sideline, one man to beat. Makes the move at midfield. Coming to the near side at the 30. He's at the 20. He's at the 10. 5. Touchdown, Kentucky.
And with that, we're here for another episode of Believe in Kentucky. Aaron Gershon from the Cats Pause. Jalen Whitlow, former UK quarterback, is not with us tonight, but we're going to hold it down. AG, man, how are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm good, man. It's a busy time of year, but Kentucky, obviously, basketball-wise, plays up in Philadelphia on Saturday, so I'm up north a little early in Connecticut in my childhood bedroom. So doing some family stuff and heading to Philly Friday night, and we'll be there to cover the Cats against UPenn on Saturday at the Wells Fargo Center. So a couple NBA arenas back-to-back weekends. So fun stuff there, and then trying to keep up with this portal. I don't know about you, Vinny, but I have all the portal like 247 on 3 rivals. I have the post notifications on in case something catches my eye, and I get like 100 notifications an hour. It is just insane what's going on in college football right now. So we'll get into all that.
Yeah, for sure. What are the are those New York Knicks pennants to your left?
These I hung when I was probably like 10 years old, 12 years old. I don't know, but they're every MLB team. But you got some old logos though, because they're outdated. So still got the Florida Marlins I see up there. Got the Astros from like the early 2010s, like when I guess with the 2000s, like when the unis they wore in the 05 World Series. So got some. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that catches my eye. Blue Jays logo's outdated, so yeah. But a lot of my memorabilia has been put away. This room has kind of become a guest room since I moved out. But behind me, you got some of my signed baseballs in that thing right there. My Odell Beckham signed jersey I got when I was at training camp a couple of years back. A lot of years back now. So, and some stuff on the other wall. On the other side of me, but yeah, it's always fun looking through my stuff at home. That's for sure. I'm not here all that often, so
yeah. So Odell, let's say you said training camp, so you got that.
Yep. We used to go to training camp. It was like a once a year thing, and sometimes get lucky autograph wise. And I think I got that one. I want to say it was 2015 or 16. I got that one, so it's pretty cool.
Was he pretty cool, or was it?
Yeah, he was pretty cool. I mean, he didn't say much, but he had his visor on, so he had the helmet. He was like the only guy who didn't take his helmet off. He had his visor on, the gold vase and everything, but he took time to sign the jersey and spent some time with the fans, so can't complain too much there.
So us being on the Believe Network, as we are, coming to you, Believe.com, and you can also get us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're live right now on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at Believe in Kentucky. We're live there as well. Facebook. Feel free to drop a comment and question, whatever you want to do. You've been a Giants fan. You are Believe Network. Did you interact with the voice, Bob Papa, at any point in time in training camp?
No, I did not. I'm trying to think. I think I've met Kim Jones, who's a pretty big national reporter. At least she used to be with NFL Network, and now I think she's moved on to a beat writing position here in New York covering the Giants. But no, I never got to meet Bob Papa, Carl Banks, any of those guys. But obviously they were kind of the guys I listened to growing up, and know they obviously are on our network here with Believe doing the Giants show. So, two guys I grew up listening to my entire life. So it's pretty cool to be even in the same little network with them here.
Absolutely. And I get to see former Cat Wandale up there now that he's healthy, doing his thing for your Giants. And it'll be year 3 for him next year. So when this season's over with, he'll be got hurt, came back doing well, and got season 3 coming up. So good stuff there with your G-men. Look, I don't know about you, but it was nice that the Eagles lost. I hate that it was the Niners. I was just glad somebody had to lose that game. They actually, look, I hate the Niners, but got to be honest, they helped us out because somebody else had to beat them. If we win Sunday, we have a chance to be tied for first. So
that's exactly right.
Begrudgingly, thanks to the Niners for that. So
you got to take the help where you can get it.
Yeah, but them saying that they're the NFC East champs, kind of. I mean, but you can't argue because they beat us all to death. So they've whooped the Eagles, they drilled us, they beat you guys. They still got Washington coming up, but them, crowning themselves NFC champs, NFC East champions is kind of hard to swallow. But they are what they are right now. When healthy, they are dangerous and scary. So.
Yeah, they sure are, and the NFC is it's front loaded, right? I mean, there's some 6-6 teams fighting for the last couple spots, but San Francisco, Dallas, the way Dak Prescott's played this year for sure in that conversation. Philly, I think they did not play well last weekend, but they ain't going anywhere. So it's really those are the three teams, and then after that, there's a pretty major drop off, I would say. I don't think I'm leaving anyone off that list. Nah, Detroit. I'm very conflicted on Detroit, man, because it's just tough. It's not even because they're the Lions. I'll look past that, but you saw what they did on Thanksgiving Day. Then they come out, they get off to that 21-0 lead on New Orleans last week. You're like, okay, it was just a bad Sunday, and then they almost blew that one. So I don't know what to believe with Detroit. Obviously, they're 9-3, or I believe that's what they're at now. So you got to give them credit for getting to that point. But for me in the NFC, it's San Francisco, Philly, and Dallas for sure.
Yeah, and I still got to see. Well, this Sunday will show us a lot.
This is a big game Sunday night.
Still got us.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it.
We got to do a little better against better competition, and we get that opportunity Sunday.
Absolutely.
I know we're hitting the NFL first, but it is what it is. But the Lions, when you look up and they're the best record since 1962, 9-3. This is the first time they've been that in 60 years. That is insane. That you have to go that far back.
Pre-Super Bowl era.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a Super Bowl. It's crazy. Yeah, good for them, man. 60 years, that means the fan base has been through a lot of hell.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good for them.
Absolutely. Well, I guess we start with the most recent first, though, man. We already have Kentucky solidifying their starting quarterback situation for next year.
How about that?
Athens, man. We're talking about this might be the guy. Brock Vandagriff is committed as of today.
Yeah, talk about getting things done quick. That was makes everyone's life a little easier, I'm sure, both in the building, definitely for us covering this situation, and then for Kentucky trying to recruit some playmakers around him. But no, I really kind of like this move the more and more I think about it. Like when the portal first opened, some of the names started popping. I was pretty high on Will Howard, the quarterback from Kansas State. I think Jalen was as well. Just the frame, the 6'5" frame, the experience he's had in the Big 12, winning some important games. I mean, he won the Big 12 championship last year, but he was only a one-year guy. And for Kentucky, some of the things that they have talked about, Liam Cohen specifically was talking about culture fits, and Mark Stoops was talking about continuity. And it kind of just felt like they wanted to have a situation where they would have a guy for multiple years. And that's what worked so well with Will Levis. I mean, Will Levis was here for 2, obviously. And he, I know 2022 was not a great year. There were a lot of factors that played into that, but he at least gave him stability at that position. They knew what they were going to get from Will every Saturday, just about when he was healthy. And they knew what they were getting off the field as a leader. I mean, that was a guy that was beloved in that locker room and took over as the team's leader. And now Brock Vandagriff's going to have that opportunity for 2 seasons. And this is a guy, look, I know he hasn't seen the field much in his college career, but the only quarterbacks he was ranked behind out of high school were guys like Caleb Williams and Drake May, probably going to go 1-2 in the draft in April. And then you have, who am I missing? That's Quinn Ewers, who's taking Texas to the college football playoff, probably going to stay another year in college, eventual first-round guy. And then a quarterback in Sam Hurd, who did not work out over at Washington. He's since transferred. And then if you look right by Vandagriff, J.J. McCarthy's the next name right under him. So really, really elite group of talent he was surrounded by in the recruiting ranks. Really just never had a shot at Georgia, right? I mean, you had Sesson Bennett there the first 2 years that everyone was kind of waiting for Sesson Bennett to fall off. It never happened. You led them to 2 national championships, okay. And then Carson Beck won the job fair and square, and he was outstanding for Georgia this year. So can't really complain. And Brock did get to play in 8 games this year. He drove them right down the field, Georgia against Kentucky. That's for sure. So Mark Stoops and company got to see it up close and personal what the potential is with him. So no, I really like this move. I like having a guy for multiple years with a ton of upside. I've heard he could really move in the pocket a little bit. And now that Rich Scangarillo is not the coordinator, I think Liam Cohen's going to let him use his legs a little bit in this offense. And, he's 6'3", so you're not worrying about the height issue. So he checks a lot of the boxes that both I think Kentucky was looking for just in what they communicated and also what the fans are looking for. So there's very little complaints for me on this one. I think it's a great pickup.
Man, so yeah. Like you said, Stetson was that guy. Then Beck comes back. Outside chance that, speaking of our network, Corey Burton may hop on. I know he's recording or might be if he's free, but he does Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast. Maybe get a little more insight from him. But I wonder if it was, Monken, Bobo, did he, how did he fit in one to the other? Or like you said, Benny coming back, he's the incumbent, and now he kind of gets the same thing with Beck deciding to come back too. He just knows that, hey, I gotta kind of move on and go where I can play. I mean, unless Beck gets hurt.
Or sucks. Or he entered the draft after this year. It was just, and I mean him entering the portal on day one of it opening, 2 days after they lose, the SEC championship game, and then a day after they learn they're not going to be in the playoff. Mm-hmm. I think it kind of told you all you need to know on, what Carson Beck's thinking for next year. He's going to be back, and they're also adding pretty sure they're adding the top. If he's not the top quarterback, he's one of the top quarterbacks in this 24 class coming up. So look, it's Georgia, man. It's tough. And he's from that area. He originally committed to Oklahoma at a high school. And Dylan Raiola, who's the number 2 prospect in all of America, number 1 quarterback, is committed to Georgia. So that'd just be more competition entering that room there. But there's a ton of competition on that roster. The quarterback situation was solidified. It just wasn't going to happen. He was committed to Oklahoma early in the process. Actually, Shane Beamer was his lead recruiter there. He decommits and signs with Georgia. Georgia literally in his Athens, and where he's from, I'm pretty sure it's like a half hour away. So it just made too much sense. And he gave it 3 years. It's not like he was a one and done. He stuck it out, and it never happened for him. And now he's going to get a chance to start in the SEC.
And then if you flash back, look, if you guys don't know, check everything out Aaron does at thecatspause.com. You wrote on your State of the Union, quarterback stability, haven't developed a quarterback.
Nope.
He's got 2 years of eligibility. In a perfect world, he stays a year, he stays 2 years. You kind of transition him right into Cutter Boley, who then can then maybe get you your homegrown thing, your development thing, where you don't just have to live in the portal on a year-to-year basis.
That's exactly right. He goes right into Cutter Boley, or even, Soam Saunders, the quarterback from Pennsylvania, is going to be here. He'll be here in 25, so he'll be here for, I guess, he'd be a redshirt freshman probably when Vandegrift would be gone. So you duke it out between Boley and Vandegrift. Boley and Saunders, best man win. Maybe lose eventually, but that is exactly the hope, is that you are able to sit. Definitely redshirt Cutter Boley this year. I think I've talked to people. He understands that he was never going to play year 1, and maybe year 2, even maybe this year he could be the number 2 guy on the depth chart. There is one name out there that as a backup quarterback that I'll bring up in a second that I think Kentucky might add pretty soon here through that portal. But I think this is just the right move to allow Boley and Saunders the right amount of time to develop, do it worry-free, and let a guy who, look, Brock Vandegrift's been around a lot of winning. I mean, how many games did they lose in his time at Georgia? Two SEC championships games to Alabama. You got to watch Seston Bennett, who everyone has opinions on that guy, but he's one of the best winners in college football history. Dude won 2 national championships back to back and had an undefeated season in one of them. So he's got to learn from a lot of good players. He's got to learn from a lot of good coaches. I mean, Mike Bobo did a great job there at offense coordinator last year. The offensive coordinator before that, Tom Monken, was awesome. He is in the NFL now with the Ravens. They're having a ton of success. So obviously getting to be around Kirby Smart and that culture. So I mean, I just can't find a box that this guy doesn't check. I mean, going back to the continuity, going back to the culture stuff, I mean, he fits the need here.
And if he decides to use both years of eligibility, which is up to him, I mean, he can do whatever he wants. But unlike Levis, he will hopefully get back-to-back years under Liam Cohen.
That's the hope.
So that would be. We still haven't seen a quarterback under year 2 under Liam Cohen, and if it clicks like it did with Levis, and everybody was looking forward to, what will year 2 be like? And he'll probably cut down on his interceptions a little bit, and averaging 32 points a game and all this in year 1. And imagine what year 2, and we didn't get to see it. So if we get that, which that'll be.
That would be huge.
I'm not trying to look ahead and fast forward anything, but that'd be nice, if we could see
continuity would be nice. That would have been a common word that's been used by this coaching staff really since before the Louisville game. I think that's a problem that they feel like they've had the last couple of years. And Liam, I think, takes some guilt in that, though he had to do what he had to do. Yeah. They were the defending world champions. The pay is, I don't know what the pay comparison was, but the NFL lifestyle is just easier than the college one from a perspective of you're just coaching. I'm not saying coaching is easy by any means, that they don't put in a ton of hours, because they do, but it's the recruiting stuff. And these college coaches, man, in December, we've gone through it. Transfer portal, keeping your own guys, high school recruiting, locking those guys up, and then bowl prep for 82 or whatever teams it is that are eligible. So it's just a wild month, a lot to keep track of, a lot to do. It's 24/7, and Liam Cohen had just had a child at that point, so father of a newborn. Like it was the best move for them. They just moved from LA too, so who knows if they even sold their house out there or whatever their deal was. So that happened. It's over, and hopefully you definitely have Liam Cohen coming back this coming season, and hopefully, you are able to retain him for another. I don't think it would be for another offense coordinator job, but all these coaches want to be head coaches at the end of the day. So you just hope a situation he can't refuse doesn't pop up.
Yeah, and flashing back to the Stoops and A&M thing, we need to bounce all over the place, but did that maybe play a role in him staying too? Maybe some of the staff members not being able to go, because look at him. I mean, the situation is what it is. Stoops is divorced. His kids are older
in Texas.
And so he's more in a position where he could up and just impulsively do something without. He doesn't have a wife to consider. Doesn't have a young family. Cohen has a young family. Coach Collins has a young family. Brad White has a bunch of kids. So, I mean, a lot of those guys just weren't in the same position to where, hey, I can just, it's all where you just think about yourself. They had other things to consider. You got the entire family. So,
and I think, look, if they had brought John Summerall in, which was probably going to be the move, I mean, I think, I don't know for sure, obviously, but I think that would have been the move. He's pretty well he's connected with pretty much everyone on the staff. I mean, not quite everybody, but a good amount. Liam Cohen, he was there in 21. Brad White, obviously, he was the assistant defense coordinator or whatever his title was, as in addition to linebackers coach. So Summerall, if he had come back, man, he could have kept a lot of the staff. It's kind of similar to what Texas A&M's been able to do. And I know they lost, their big assistant there, Elijah Robinson, to Syracuse. But Mike Elko's kept some of that staff together, and that's helped them. They've been hit by the portal, but not they haven't been hit as hard as Michigan State did when Mel Tucker was fired, or even what you're seeing over at Oregon State with Smith going to Michigan State. So I think it would have been a kind of a similar situation here. And maybe you do hold on to some of the coaches, but now with the 4 extensions that they signed today, Mike Stoops, Zach Yenzer, Buffano, and Stewart, there's only going to be one coaching change. There's going to be a lot of continuity on the staff, and now it's you're trying to get continuity on that roster. But defensively, they're in pretty good shape with it. I think they'll probably try to add some depth in the secondary, maybe even a linebacker on the edge, and maybe even inside, depending on what happens with Derek Jackson and Trevin Wallace. Those guys got NFL draft decisions to make. Mm-hmm. But it's all about building continuity on that offense now. I think that is goal number 1, goal number 2, and goal number 3 of this offseason, because you feel pretty good with some of the pieces on defense.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned, guys doing what they had to do, and I guess, the Wade family felt that they had to do what they had to do, and we saw the departures of Keaton and Destin, and Pop saying that promises were broken and this, that, and the other on the way out.
Oh, man. Yeah, you hate to see that.
Yeah.
Because those are 2 really good kids. I mean, especially Keaton. I'm not saying that. I'm saying especially Keaton because I've been around Keaton more, just because obviously he had a larger role on the team and talked to the media more. But those are 2 guys I've always enjoyed talking to, and really mature kids, especially, like I said, the conversations with Keaton. Never thought I was talking to a freshman or a sophomore, year to year. So it was surprising to hear those comments, to say the least. I mean, look, Destin Wade, people questioned his position, going into college, whether he was really a quarterback or not. And he wanted to play quarterback. Kentucky gave him the chance. He got to start the bowl game. And obviously it was a tough defense, but look, Iowa is an elite defense, but if you want to play in the SEC, you're going to be playing some defenses just like that. I think it was probably a good test for him, even if it was his first game. So I don't really understand any of those comments, to be honest with you. They were really not in many positions where they were blowing teams out, where they could get both the backup quarterbacks in. So it just didn't happen. And then with Keaton, had a pretty big role in the defense. I know he wasn't playing 100 snaps a game, but he had a pretty sizable role as a sophomore.
He was carving out. He was carving out, niches for himself and plans on for himself. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't get it. I'm not going to get too far into it, but Keaton's probably the most productive player Kentucky lost so far. Hopefully this is it for the big names. I mean, I think you'll obviously see more after the bowl game and then after spring. That's just how it goes. But Keaton's a tough loss. Destin Wade, they'll be okay. In the quarterback room, Kyle Shurn as well. I'll give you the name that I've heard a lot of buzz about in the portal. He's very familiar. His name's Bo Allen, if you remember him.
Yeah.
I have heard there's a good chance he decides to come back. He's in the portal again. He goes to Tarleton State after Kentucky, starts there, hits the portal again, and before he made the decision to after he made the decision to hit the portal, that's when they started to crack down on the 2-time transfers for non-graduates. So he gets to Georgia Southern, he's ruled ineligible. His waiver doesn't pass. So he was not eligible to play at Georgia Southern last year. He has, I believe, 2 years of eligibility. I believe he'll be a graduate in December, if I'm not mistaken. That'll make him eligible to play right away. He was with Liam Cohen for a year. He actually played enough to get 12 throws in, complete 8 of them, and run in a touchdown under Cohen. So he knows the offense. He probably would have been the backup in 22 again, but there was some, Rich Scangarillo went Kyle Shurn and Deuce Hogan over him. So I have heard that is a real possibility that you get Bo Allen back in this quarterback room, and then you're looking at a room that has Vandegrift, Allen, Boley. You have the walk-on Shane Ham. We'll see what they do with him. I know he had actually a starting experience at Dayton, and then we'll see about Deuce Hogan. I know he put out on Instagram very brief. 2 was entering the portal and then deleted it. So maybe that's because he knows he's going to be the backup in the bowl game. I don't know. But I would not be surprised if you see Bo Allen commit to Kentucky in these next couple of weeks leading up to signing day.
Going back to Wade, did Destin get a lot of reps, all the reps leading up to the bowl game last year?
He got the majority of the first team reps. I heard that was the kind of their plan. Was to give him that start. They wanted to see what they had. And I think Kaya, they saw what they had because against South Carolina, right? Yeah. He got a chance to start. And those guys were kind of duking for that second that second spot on the depth chart all year. They go to Destin, and he did a couple good things, but against that defense, and they were in the Vince Marrow offense. They weren't even in the Scangarillo offense. So it was a tough spot. His dad's right about that. I mean, that was a tough spot they threw him into, but they got him on the field in his hometown. I mean, they made some sort of effort. And this year, they had health at quarterback. I get Devin Leary didn't have a great year, but you weren't going to throw Destin Wade into this season. You just weren't. It was never going to happen this year. So I just don't know what their father really wants. I understand he wants the best for his kids. He wants to watch his kids play, but it wasn't happening here. There was no reason to throw shade on the way out. But
it wasn't realistic, and it was a stretch as subpar as Leary was for what a lot of people expected.
Sure,
it's still probably a stretch to say he would have done that.
1,000%.
So
absolutely, absolutely. So.
And you hate, like you said, you hate to see that, especially when it's those recruiting battles and commitments that you kind of, as a fan base, you're hoping that they can get it. It's a battle, getting the kid out of Tennessee, and you hope you can hold on to him. And 4-star prospects still aren't growing on trees here historically for Kentucky, 4 and 5 stars, mostly 3 stars. So when you get one like that, you get a DeKel Crowdus, you get guys that you're like, they were able to hold on to them and get them. And then you hope they all work, but you really hope those work, and you just hate it when it doesn't pan out. And that's what happened here. I've heard Tom, you've been on with Tom Leach. You're on there the other day. I heard you. He loves to quote Hal Mummy from back in the day. He's quarterbacks were born to transfer, so it always happens.
Not wrong. I mean, look at it right now, man. It's crazy. And you got some guys who had some really good years. Like I don't know about you. I guess I haven't been too surprised by many of them, but like Kyle McCord, I was like, what? I guess there were some cryptic comments the day before from Ryan Day, and that some people weren't surprised, but I had no idea of those comments. So I was pretty damn surprised when I saw Kyle McCord's name come out. Dylan Gabriel, I wasn't. I had kind of heard that one might happen, but it's just crazy, man. It's the Wild West. And Hal Mummy's right. I mean, I think the quarterback position for sure, but now everyone's born to transfer. It feels like it is it's the Wild West. Some of the names out there, I don't think it's over yet.
Yeah. So, like you said, maybe Keaton will be the most impactful player that Kentucky loses. And
as of now, for sure.
Considering how wild it is, that will still be. Yeah, you can kind of live with that, I guess, in this day and age. Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, and he would have been proud to even do bigger and better things had he stayed.
Sure,
but with his brother leaving, and they're twins, and you can, and it might kind of impact him more having to leave.
I think it will,
and he's kind of sacrificing for his brother.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, where they land, but if they land at Tennessee or something like that, it's going to be the same situation. So unless they go to an FCS school, that'd be great for Destin. But for Keaton, he's going to go beat up on that competition. How are scouts going to view that, right? So we'll see. The grass definitely isn't always. It is for some. The portal can be a really good thing, but the grass isn't always greener. We'll see what happens there. It wasn't too big of a surprise. I know there was some smoke before, but it happened, and it's over for those two guys here. But for the edge position, I mean, that's why you see them making such a priority of it. In this class coming up, Jacob Smith, Brian Robinson, both edge guys. Antoine Smith, the guy out of Atlanta, Georgia, 3-star guy. Caleb Reed out of St. Louis. Steven Souls out of Powell, Tennessee. Lorenzo Cohen out of Savannah, Georgia. I mean, they are going pretty heavy on edge rushers in this upcoming class. And then you got, guys like Grant Godfrey, who redshirted this year, I think due to injury. He's an outside backer. He was a high 4-star guy. Don't think he's going anywhere. So, you have some guys to build around. It's going to be a young group. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to add one through the portal here, but usually they figure it out on the defense side of the ball. It's the offensive side of the ball where they need some dudes.
Yeah. And Nico is in his second year in that system. You're not going to go into Tennessee, hypothetically.
He's going to be their guy for over that years.
Guy. Jalen's boy, Gaston Moore, is still there. I mean,
that's right. You ain't kicking him out. You ain't kicking him out.
Yes. I mean,
I was – that was just a hypothetical because we're from there. But
Exactly. So let's see. Is that all of portal after this very millisecond right now, Aaron?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think, other names with Kentucky to kind of watch right now. Raymond Cottrell, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M. He's on a visit this weekend. I feel really good about that one. I don't feel as good about Devon McCauley anymore. I think Michigan's kind of taken over the leader, but he is still supposed to visit this weekend. So maybe Kentucky can get some momentum back in that one. The one that popped today, the running back at Ohio State, which is a name I've been kind of waiting to pop. Chip Tradham, guy who started his career at Arizona State. Also, it was funny because he was a linebacker and a running back at a college, or at a high school rather, at Arizona State. Plays 2 years at running back, goes to Ohio State expecting to be a linebacker, and they said, nope, you're going back to running back. He had a pretty productive year. He was actually in line to start their bowl game against, I believe they're playing Missouri, right? Yep, Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
So that's a guy to watch. And then just, they have some offers out to some smaller school guys along the offensive line, especially at tackles. So we'll get some more movement probably by the time we talk again next Wednesday. I wouldn't be surprised if there's another commitment or two, but they're going to add 2 to 3 receivers. There's no doubt in my mind about that. They're going to have at least one running back, and they're going to have depth on that O-line, and then we'll see what they do defensively.
Yeah, so which as limited as the depth was, and then, look, everybody's free to do what they want, but seeing Porter leave,
Yeah, that was tough. And that, I think that tells you, though, and Mark Stoops had a really good quote about this on Monday, that most of these portal decisions are mutual.
Right.
So they are, and I don't, McCauley would be that big X receiver that takes that slot, even if it's not him. There's like a gazillion guys out there. I'm sure they'll find one. But they're going to recruit the wide receiver position really hard. I mean, they already have, again, they're supposed to have 2 guys on campus this weekend with McCauley and with Cottrell. They are supposed to have an in-house visit with the wide receiver who had over 1,000 yards at North Texas, Jamari Macklin, the cousin of Jeremy Macklin, for the Missouri Eagle fans out there. So, it's they're going to be working hard to get that wide receiver position some depth. I mean, they're down to Dane Key, Barryon Brown, Anthony Brown-Stevens, Brandon White, and Ardell Banks. That's the wide receiver room right now. So they got work to do.
Yeah. So all that getting sorted out. Stoops is out on the road, on the trail, and bowl prep is coming right up real
Clemson.
quick. Clemson.
We got a way better bowl matchup than we were expecting, huh?
Yeah, Gator Bowl. When everybody was thinking Dukes,
to play a premier opponent, man. Like that's big time. Not just one, you're going to see guys more motivated to play. They want to go beat Clemson, right? Clemson's won 2 national championships the last 8 years. They're a household name. Playing Duke with an interim coach and half their roster portaled would not hold the same weight. And it would only hurt you, right? Because if you lose to that Duke team, you're going to get trolled. And if you lose to this Clemson team, it's what everyone expected to happen. It's a good experience to get competition against a really quality opponent. You beat them. It's pretty damn impressive. So I know they're not the Clemson, with Trevor Lawrence or even with Deshaun Watson or any of those guys right now, but they're still pretty good. They're defensively top 20. They finished the season red hot. I think they were 4-4, then won their last 4. So they took Florida State down to the wire. So it's a fun draw. It really is. It's a much better draw than the last 2 Iowa games. That's for darn sure. So I'm looking forward to getting down to Jacksonville at the end of the month.
So it's a repeat opponent, but it's not a recent repeat opponent like Iowa and Virginia Tech and all that. Because it's the 4th time they play Clemson in a bowl game. So
but Clemson has changed a hell of a lot since I think it was Dabo's first year the last time they played each other. From
09.
Right? That was Dabo's first year. So he's on for all of his antics, and people might not like him personally. He's done a hell of a job at Clemson. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great bowl game.
This will be round 4. They're up 2-1 in bowls.
There you go.
Kentucky leads 8-5 overall, but first time playing them since 2009 back there in the Music City Bowl down in Nashville. I went to the 106. Kentucky
that was the one
beat them.
Andre Woodson, yep.
And in 2007, they beat Florida State. And I was like, oh, my God, they're playing Florida State. Florida State had a bunch of people suspended. We didn't care. Yep. We did not care. But
Clemson, 2 of their best defensive players are opted out and going to the draft. If Kentucky beats them, is anyone going to think about that? Nope. No. So, great opportunity. And I think Louisville fans will be even more mad if they beat Clemson. Beat this probably – I guess Louisville's still the second best team in the ACC this year, but probably the third best team in that conference.
Yeah. And Louisville is, to quote Mark Stoops, Louisville let 1 become 2. Lose to Kentucky and all. A lot of their fans, we're worried about the ACC championship game. Well, then you go and lose that to Florida State with a third-string quarterback.
For 6 points. Yeah, it was not pretty for Louisville, and they lose out on the Orange Bowl, which that part wasn't their fault. I mean, the Florida State stuff it's something. We can get into it if we really want to, but it's something. But so they're going out to San Diego, and I will say I do feel bad for Louisville fans that the game is in San Diego. Like, that is expensive. They were kind of banking on being in Florida. I saw some fans say, hey, let's just maybe settle for the Gator Bowl or even settle for Charlotte just to avoid, that type of ticketing price. When we had a good season, we should be rewarded by going to a bowl game that fans can attend. So that part of it sucks. I'll give sympathy for that. But they, too, get a premier opponent in USC, even though Caleb Williams won't be out there. That's a good chance for them to finish a really good year for them strong. So, but they melted at the end. They kind of were the team that we all kind of thought they were. We had to give them some credit at 10-1, but they fell back down to earth the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So, little drop off, a little bit sour ending. Kentucky was able to kind of wash some of that out of their mouth by getting the win over Louisville, and kind of the reverse is happening, with the Cards, the way it's kind of ended for them. But definitely is what it is. Same thing kind of happened, to the basketball team. The football team, you had that sour South Carolina loss, and you kind of recently beating Louisville. Basketball beats Miami to death, and then they have a big letdown against UNCW Seahawks. It's just one of those nights, man. It's just one of those nights, and just like, for example, and they're freshmen, and Cal says it, whether it's true or not, they're not machines, they're not robots. Everybody knew Dillingham. You get the whole gamut with him. He's very
that
streaky.
Was the first time you saw it.
Exactly. He's streaky, and him and Reed Shepherd coming in at that little spark, 4 minutes in, it's been really well. He had a down game. He gave you the other end of the spectrum this time, and we knew that was possible when the dude committed. That's kind of the way he is. He's a boom or bust type of player, and it didn't happen. There's no excuse to lose to those guys, but you're transitioning. You have your first, another game without your starting point guard. Just when you finally get your first big back, so you're in flux. No excuse. No, you're in flux. In a transitionary state to, hey, we finally get our guy. Nope, now we don't have DJ. We get Aaron back, but we don't have DJ. So was happening, and is it a bad loss? Yes,
absolutely.
I never said 40-0. Nobody, but so they're going to lose some games. I just didn't expect it to be that one. They were going to take some losses along the way. Can they still right the ship and get where they want to go? Does this mean that they have no shot at being an elite team now? No, they can still put it all together and shake this off and keep going towards the team we think they can be. But it's just sucky loss, a letdown, just a bad night.
Yeah, no, it's not a good loss. It's an inexcusable loss, but there's definitely a lot of truth to everything you've said. It's all truth. It's just the things that bothered me or would worry me about that loss. The defense has been bad all year. Can we call it what it is? I mean, they did pretty well against Miami. I give them that. But they have been beat off the dribble at will all year. They're giving up over 70 points per game. They rank in the high 200s in defense. I mean, they have not defended well, and part of it is because of the bigs, but they haven't rebounded well either. They still got out-rebounded in this game. And look, I'm taking Kentucky out of it. They got out-rebounded by a team who played a guy who's 6'9", for like 3 minutes, and then their next tallest guy was 6'7" the rest of the way. You can't get out rebounded in those type of games. That's an effort thing to me. So the defensive stuff, that was concerning. The rebounding is concerning, but the stuff like with Dillingham, yeah, you knew you were going to get some of that. It hadn't happened yet. You were thinking maybe he got that out of his system in prep ball. He was a change player. He is a change player and a better player, but he showed. I think the problem, what happened with him on Saturday was he got frustrated. Shots weren't falling. He missed a wide open 3 early. And then you saw toward the end of the game when Kentucky was still in it, he kind of kept hawking at the ball and picks up a really dumb foul at that point when I think that either put Kentucky in the bonus or the double bonus. So like a selfish play. I think Cal sat him down right after that. So, he showed some of that stuff that they were concerned about coming into the year for the first time. Reed was great offensively in the second half, especially. He scores 25. He had to play 39 minutes, but he got beat defensively the whole game. Didn't have a great night passing either. Going to happen, freshman. And then I thought when Aaron Bradshaw was in, they were plus 11, but he was posting up, man. Like he was not giving space. There was not that whole new style big stuff. It was clogged. And even before Bradshaw checked in the game, because I'm not going to blame this on Aaron Bradshaw. I think he's the last person to blame. He hasn't played all year, but they were slower. They didn't have their same tempo. They didn't have the crisp passing. They didn't have the same energy. And it led to a really bad loss. But the good news is, it's early December. You have this kind of week. It's kind of like a football schedule right now where you have a game a week. You have a lot of practice time. You have a lot of time to get on the same page, with Aaron Bradshaw, that he's back for good. Maybe keep getting Ugonna and Yenso closer. No clue. I'm not even going to speculate on Big Z. I'm going to take him out of my brain until we know he's cleared, honestly. But they'll be fine. I do believe they'll be fine. But this was a wake-up call that, hey, it's a talented team. It's a really young team that has flaws. And, losses are going to happen. And you got to also, lastly, give credit to the other team, right? I mean, they hit a lot of tough shots. That kid, White, number 13, he's a baller now. He should be playing at a higher level. Some of those schools have it. And then their coach, Tiago Siddle, was on Gardner-Webb and scored 8 points in that game. And so he must just know how to win a rough. Like, you just tip your cap. Maybe you need to put him on the list for guys who come in after Cal just because he knows how to win it rough. So, yeah, but that was tough. They got to start. They got to start performing better at home overall. I know they kicked Miami's tail in, but I think I saw a stat where they're like 10-6 in their last 16 home games. You got to do better than that. You just got to find a way to be better at home, be better overall. But I think, again, it's early. This team is uber talented. I think they're going to come out and punch Penn in the mouth on Saturday. I don't know if DJ Wagner will be ready, but Aaron Bradshaw playing pretty close to home. Justin Edwards playing at home. There's going to be juice. And, look, Penn beat Villanova. I don't know how great of a win that is anymore because Villanova's losing to everybody, it feels like. But you got to go take care of business. You can't have two of these losses add up because this one already is going to hurt come Selection Sunday with the net. You don't need two of these on your resume here.
Yeah. And I get that with the stats at home, and you do need to protect home.
Yeah.
But that stat's easy to throw out there because of the way it's been the past 2 or 3 years. So I mean, if they're 10-6 in their last 16. Had they beat UNCW, they'd be 11-5 in their last 16. Big whoop-de-doo. It's gonna take some time to get that stat right.
Yeah, that's right.
So losing that didn't help, but getting more consistent at home, like you should be, you're gonna have to keep putting that in the rear view before that, kind of takes care of itself like we hope. Takeo Siddle, Coach Siddle, that is, I'm with you.
Insane.
That's as frustrating as the loss, because he already, like I said, he already had one story that he could tell his grandkids. As a player, he came in the rep and beat Big
Mac. And he
Mac
scored 8 points in that game. It's not like he just sat on the bench and watched it.
Yeah, he can tell his grandkids he's done it as a coach too.
Can you believe that? Good for him, honestly. That's crazy. I'm telling you, put him on the watch list.
Oh.
Dude doesn't lose at Rupp.
You said Mitch Barnhart's got him in the book now.
You got to put him in the book. At least as an assistant. Like, come on now. It's just incredible. That's an incredible story. You see that? That's the beauty of sports, right? You hate when it happens to your team, obviously. But look, the Billy era. It was probably good that it happened in the Billy era. Helped you push him out the door. You didn't want that this year, because this team was is still. I'm not saying that in the past, but the start they were on was phenomenal. You kind of felt like after the way they rolled Miami.
Yeah,
I thought they were going to go into SEC play with one loss. I really did, because Penn. I guess UNC was kind of a toss-up game. I got to see UNC in person last night. I was at the Garden at the Jimmy V Classic. I actually got to
the Huskies.
Yeah, I got to see the Huskies. I was more there for the first game because FAU is, of course, where my brother goes. They had a tough night. They played pretty well, but foul trouble kind of with their big guy Vlad Golden kind of killed them. And Illinois, their two guards, including Terrence Shannon, both had 33. I mean, you're not going to win many games when two guys have 33 on the other team. So credit to Illinois, they played a great game. And then UConn, North Carolina was really entertaining up and down basketball, and UConn just pulled away there in the second half. Kind of flexed their muscle there. But yeah, so maybe I still kind of forecasted them, though, to beat UNC from what I saw at the Tar Heels. I thought 1 or 2 losses at worst going into league play. So this will we'll see what happens next week in Atlanta. But you've got to take care of Penn. And honestly, I think if you look at the net, the worst loss you could have is Louisville. So don't let it be that one.
Exactly. So yeah, this team generated a lot of optimism. Everybody's excited. The buzz, playing Kansas tough without the bigs was a loss, but it was still –
it was a moral victory as much as you don't like it.
Yeah, and then the way they did Miami, that just got added fuel to it. And everybody's been hungering and wanting to see them. Well, even Cal said, we need to be Kentucky good before the season even started. And everybody was – looking and excited about them trying to be that. Yep. And so this kind of threw water on that flame a little bit, and it's kind of dampened the excitement again. But they caused everybody to kind of get ahead of themselves. We can only have one loss going into conference play. They're just going to buzz right on through. And then, UNCW happened. So, it's not the end all be all, but like you said, it's
and maybe it could end up being a good thing. Look, I'm not justifying this loss. I think on Selection Sunday it is going to hurt you because it's going to be quad 3. It may even end up quad 4 if UNCW ends up not having a great year. I know they're projected to win their league, but injuries happen, things happen. It could be quad 4. You lost it at home, but look, I hate to bring more bad memories up, but they lose to Evansville early that season. Evansville won 0 conference games after the Walter McCarty stuff happened, and they won the SEC by 3 games. That could. I'm not saying that's going to happen again. The SEC, I know it hasn't got off to a great start, but Ole Miss has been shockingly really good. South Carolina, I think, won again tonight. I'll check on that real quick. I still think Tennessee is really good. They've played a really hard schedule. I still think A&M is really good. They've played a hard schedule, so it's going to be a tough league. But I think they'll be fine at the end of the day. It might hurt them a seed line or 2, but actually Clemson just fell behind. They're down 4 with a minute to go. But I'm sorry, South Carolina fell behind by 4. So still, they're off to a strong start. The SEC is good again, but I think this team will be fine. If they lose on Saturday or they struggle on Saturday, I'll be a little worried. But for now, I'll call it a one-off till they give more evidence.
And it'll be interesting to see which this is Camp Cal time, where just one.
Yeah, that's right.
That interesting to see the the strides and the cohesiveness defensively. If you look at the roster and, development happens, nobody really stays the same, either progress or regress. Is there really a nasty lockdown defender on the roster? I would probably say no.
I think DJ is the best guard defender they have, but no, I don't think there's a
no DeAndre Liggins,
no Liggins,
no Michael Kidd-Gilchrist type that's just gonna get up in somebody's shorts for 40 minutes.
Hero game against Fletcher McGee where he turned into you don't have that on this team.
They're gonna have to work harder at it. It's not going to come naturally to them. This is an offensive team, as we know. The fireworks are there for net, with all the shooters, and collectively, they're just going to have to dig deep and try to do better. I'm not saying y'all going to be Gary Payton's and the Ugo could be a Mutombo, but you got some shot blocking, but. Just stand in front of people like Cal said, stop opening your hips and just, if they did the wall sits, you just going to have to buckle down and just get in that mindset as best you can. Hey, we can't just keep getting blown by all night. So
that's exactly right. Yeah.
Just curious to see how that will progress over the coming weeks, to see what kind of defensive ceiling they have, because we know the sky's the limit offensively. But
we know. Oh, absolutely. No, this could end up being Cal's best offensive team. It still can, but you got to play some defense, man. If you want to have a special season, you got to play some defense. You got to rebound. You gotta play team basketball. You got to do a little bit of everything. So,
And when those shots aren't falling, Cal likes to grind it out anyway. That's his natural inclination. So, but when the fireworks, there's a lid on the rim for 4 or 5 guys, and it's a struggle, then you just gotta, you gotta dig in and get stops.
That's exactly right. You gotta find a way to get stops, and they could not do that, and they haven't done it most of the year. I mean, they're again over 70 points a game on them, and you take out. I think they only give up 46 against New Mexico State the first game, if I'm not mistaken, it was something like that.
The 86-46 or something.
Yeah, something crazy. Yeah, if you take that game out, like the number's over 80. So there's kind of like an outlier game on the defensive side, and that's a team that was the first. Like all those guys had never played a real game together before. They didn't even scrimmage, like in practice, yes, but they didn't even play preseason games. Like that was their first basketball game together. So you held them to 46 points. But you got to figure it out on defense. It cannot be what we've been seeing so far.
Yeah, because everybody's gonna try to muck it up and force it into a half-court game. Nobody wants to run with this team.
And they're gonna absolutely. And they're gonna keep feeding the paint. They're gonna keep trying to beat you off the dribble. And look, against UNC with the way RJ Davis, I saw him play last night. Like that will be a tough game. And with Baycott in the paint, like that's a nightmare matchup if you don't get it figured out.
He's a load, and
he's like a Oscar light kind of.
Yeah.
Similar games. Oscar was on a little bit of a different level from a rebounding perspective, but this kid Baycott's a walking double-double too. He sometimes the thing with him is he'll take some plays off where I don't think Oscar ever took a play off. Maybe messed up, but I don't think he ever took a play off. So yeah, we'll talk about that one obviously more next week. But you gotta take care of business and do it. I think get a feel good win here on Saturday in Philly. Get away from home. Get to play in this NBA arena and get a big win.
Absolutely. So when you were growing up, Yankee fan, Giant fan, Knicks fan, were you a UConn fan like as a little kid, 7, 8, 10 years old?
I followed it obviously because Connecticut, big basketball state. Obviously, both the men's and women's programs, 2 of the best there are. Women probably the gold standard of women's basketball the last 30 years. Under Gino, but no, I mean, I didn't have the thing that I probably wasn't is because none of my family went to UConn. There was no family ties to UConn. And, I just knew about the Huskies, knew a lot of Husky fans. But so sometimes I wanted to be different and just poke the bear a little bit. But yeah, no, I always I'd root for them to win. It was good. It was cool to see that happen in the state. But yeah, honestly, my dad went to North American for undergrad and then went to Northwestern for business school. Mom went to Albany, so there wasn't really much of a loyalty to UConn growing up.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And so I've been through there, but my familiarity isn't like yours. How close are you to New York City and to Philly? What's the distance to you for both cities?
So New York City, exactly 30 minutes. Well, with no traffic, I'm about 30 minutes, about 35 miles from.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow.
Very close. Philly's about, you know what? I've never been to Philly, believe it or not.
What?
Never been. Yeah. Well, I always wanted to go to like a Giants-Eagles game, and my dad said, no, it's too dangerous. So I never did that.
Well, from what I've seen, he's right.
But this is saying 2 hours and 13 minutes is all it is to drive. So I've actually, funny enough, I've done a connecting at Alex. I'd go into Philly, on an American Airlines flight and then go into LaGuardia. And that's like a 10-minute flight. It's crazy. So yeah, 2 hour and 13-minute drive down to Philly. We'll be doing that on Friday night. And then I'll fly home from Philadelphia on Sunday morning.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, have fun, man.
I appreciate it.
Be back home. That's always cool. And get to pop to the city and pop to the garden. So, man,
yeah, that was a great time last night. Yeah, I tweeted it out, man. I can't remember the last time I went to a college sporting event just in the seats, not with a computer in front of my face. So it was kind of nice to just be normal, I guess you could say. Just be a fan, be able to do what I want at the game. So that was cool. That was a good time.
Hey, that's awesome, man. Look, everybody check Aaron out. It's catspaws.com, Gershon99. Looking forward to all the content leading up to the game and during the game and everything you put out after the game, man. Always good stuff, man.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, look, man, another episode of Believe in Kentucky. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, live like we are here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We got merch. We got Cat Daddy shirts. Go to shop.believe, BLEAV.com. Go to believe.com and check out all the other podcasts that were part of the network, including Giants legends Bob Papa and Carl Banks, Aaron's guys up there talking about his G-men. We'll be back next week. We're looking forward to seeing the Cats hopefully get that bad UNC Wilmington taste out of their mouth against Penn. Even Trey Mitchell said, I feel sorry for who we play next. So
make it count, Trey.
That's right. Hey, walk the walk up there in Philly.
Yeah, that's right.
Look forward to talking about that and all the football news. We'll get Jalen's thoughts on Brock Vandegrift from the quarterback's perspective next week. All that and more when we come back to y'all next time on Believe in Kentucky. Everybody be safe. We'll holler at y'all next week.